Hello, welcome back to the table. Today we're going to turn this into a ring. Well, two rings. One ring that I finished and another ring that has yet to be finished. This is a little square of ebony that I got off of eBay. Not eBay, Amazon. They came with a bunch of squares of a bunch of other little things. So, little bits of pretty wood. And since the last time that I've filmed the video, now I have a drill press. Yay! And a mini lathe. We're already getting into it. Clamp it down. I did add super glue to the back of the piece of ebony just to limit any blowout that might happen, as well as drilling down into something. And what's really neat is you can see that I'm using a 9/16, which roughly translates to a 3.5 size ring. And since absolutely nobody that I know wears a 3.5 size ring, probably, on their main fingers, I'm learning a lot about rings. And this is not my first rodeo. I didn't film those monstrosities. But a hole is made, and I just have to make that hole bigger. Bigger by a little bit. Where do we get? Yeah. Maybe 3.25, 3.5, something like that. So here's a mini lathe that has well and truly been used for something that it may not have been intended to be used for this much wood, but I've been enjoying doing so. I put it on a ring mandrel, tighten it down. The mandrel's just so that I can hold it safely. And listen to that Harbor Freight Boy purr. For what it is, it's doing a really good job. I've lathed metal on it, but I need to learn a little bit more about all of these processes before I very committedly lathe metal. So I'm getting this little cutting bit just barely touching, and then scooching it forward by what I think was 13/1000ths of an inch. Each tick on there represents 0.001, or was it 0001? 001 of an inch. And then we speed up the footage because honestly it's neater that way. And it doesn't take the 10 or 15 minutes for these first passes. You can see just, I'm easing it up, maybe, I'm easing up about 10/1000ths at a time, knock off the corners and make it round so that I can hold it directly in the chuck. That's much close, that's actual speed. I have been having a lot of fun with this thing. Some minor headaches, but honestly I'm not making precision bolts that are ever going to be used for anything. I'm having a good time. One day I will. And honestly, the strings of wood are probably the coolest things to see coming off of it. We got a couple more notches to knock off. It just comes off in ribbons for one reason or another, and it's beautiful. And the sort of brown streaks in there really shine. I like them. Also, if somebody knows that this is an ebony, please tell me. I'm pretty sure wood that dark is isn't anything but ebony, but who knows? I've been wrong about a lot of things. And this is a lot of material for one ring, so I'm willingly going to show you something that may or may not be stupid. Maybe. I have reversed the rotation of the spindle, or the chuck, or whatever. Sorry. I have it on very low speeds, and I'm using a Japanese style pull saw that I've already destroyed. I've seriously messed this thing up. And I'm just trying to make one ring, two rings. And since I don't tend to shy away from my fuck-ups, there's a high chance that this will succeed and fail. You can see I didn't saw all the way through it because that little nubbin. And now it's all sanded. Or sanded flattish, so that I don't have to worry about said nubbin. So, remove mandrel. And to get things in there flat, I put this drill guide in there so that that can rest in there, and I can tighten it down while roughly flat objects are touching, which gives me a much better result than if I tried to eyeball it. And now is to make the hole bigger. I'm not going to show you both rings, I'm just going to show you one ring. And bite my tongue every single time I think of a Lord of the Rings reference. And I will not say it, because I am not knowledgeable enough. Yet. So, it's the exact same process, I'm just going in and taking out about probably 5,000ths at a time and trying to sneak up on the ring size. Because it's really easy to go too far when you're taking something off. If you take off 5,000ths from one side, it takes it off of both, so you might be going a little faster than you think you are. So one ring, solid 5.5, almost exactly what I was aiming for. Very pleased when I did that. And then the other one that I had done first, I went a little too far, but that should be okay. The end user's fingers should either they will have more fingers, or I will remake the ring. It's as simple as that. Alright, so with the inside hole being the right size, we put it back in the chuck, and we finish the inside on one side, and then we'll flip it over and finish it on the other side. And for some reason, I like recording doing things that I maybe perhaps shouldn't. The stakes are a lot lower with wood, but I don't want that bit to touch the jaws. This explains the flaw in it later. Yeah, get that out of there. Okay. So what I'm about to do, I've seen a lot of other people do it. I completely understand why it's somewhat insane to put your finger anywhere near a spinning object like this. The size of said spinning object is less dangerous than others, but it doesn't mean it's not dangerous. I've trimmed my fingernails back, make sure that there's fewer chances that anything can go wrong. But it is a calculated risk, and after about a month of this, I still have all of my fingers and all of my toes. The toes are unrelated. And all I'm doing is working up grits. I started with 120, I go to 220, 320, 400, 800, 1000, 1500, and 2000. And you can see that it sands so nicely. And had I not split the ring into 2 rings, I feel like I would have wasted a lot of material. Like, a lot of material. And I was not okay with that. And because we don't rush it when we get to this point, this is what it looks like before adding any super glue. Super glue is my finish of choice. The that ridge will not matter. It's already pretty. A little super glue to a piece of paper towel, and slurp it on, and that's it. It-ish. We're not done. So that probably takes a minute to really cure and no longer stick to my hands, or about 10 seconds, because it's a very thin coat. But it does add a lot. I would like to commend the camera operator on his focus levels. It's a little better. Now the other side. If I was showing you both rings, you would see this process 4 times, and honestly, that's disrespectful to your time and my time, unless it was a different ring on a different day in a different video. Same process. 120, 220, 320, 400, 800, 1000, 1500, 2000. And if I had 3000, I would be using 3000 as well. I'm still learning what does and doesn't work, what works nicely for wood and for sanding, and for making sure that the super glue doesn't just want to yeet the hell off of the damn thing. But so far, so good. Because if the super glue is touching on all sides, when the ring is done, I feel like it's literally encasing and just ever so slightly soaked into the wood. Ever so slightly. Making it stronger and making it a more cohesive piece. I've been testing these out on my own hands, and the only ones that I've broken are very early on, that were always going to break. Yep, that's where we started, and that's where we are. Now to finish the outside. Hindsight being 2020, I probably could have wrapped that mandrel in electrical tape just to save myself a little bit of headache. Maybe. But the inside of the mandrel didn't do any damage to the ring, so that's good. And it gripped it, and I didn't explode the ring all over the place. While that jackass is figuring out how to get it on there centered and straight, I'll just say that I have destroyed probably 5 or 6 rings, either putting it in the mandrel wrong, or putting it in the chuck wrong, or forgetting that righty is tighty and lefty is loosey, and that results in crushed and exploded rings. Luckily, nothing on here is reverse threaded that I know of, or it's double reverse threaded, so right 2 times is still like 120, 180 degrees around. I know what angles are. Sorry. Now we're going to be very carefully taking off the diameter. I can see the wobble in the ring, which I'm less okay with. I started off with 10 thousandths passes, and then I switched to 5 thousandths passes because this was nerve-wracking. Sometimes the tool doesn't cut and it catches, and it will just spin the work around the mandrel, and it's very scary. And it could result in a complete failure. So, while this is sped up footage, the real speed is a little more meticulous. This is it. I'm going very gingerly because it's already skipped once. And I don't know if that's the right move, but it's what I chose. Skip. Now, there we go. See? Terrifying. It also shakes it off center, which is even worse for my particular levels of OCD about wanting things to be centered. It was fine, dude. You could have just tightened it. Okay, so now we get to do something fun. It's all been fun, but this is particularly neat. I put a layer of super glue on just as a strengthener, and I'm going to cut a groove in for an inlay. This is done by hand with it looks like a pretty big hand tool. It's really not. All I need to do is make a groove big enough for a wire. There we go. Today's wire is brass. Brass is pretty. Good job, Adrian. You're doing good. Keep it up. And first things first, bend it a little. I think I saw this process first on Tempest Rings, who I first saw on Imager, and then I saw that there was a YouTube link. I was like, I'm gonna go to that, and I've followed them for years, which is kind of crazy to think about. Alright, so a little thick super glue in there and some activator. You can tell when the activator gets sprayed because it goes all crystalline and weird like this. Yeah. Now, cut pieces to size. See, and that's where I messed up and didn't know it. No, is it here? Oh, it's there. You can hear it. Alright, so you see that little bow right there? Yeah. A tiny piece of brass got under the groove. And spoilers, this is unusable in its current state. I'm very confused as to why it's not going. And then I see that little piece that fell right there? Yeah. That was what did it. So stripped, gripped, and ripped, we pull that thing out of there. We spin it. We spin down all the glue we put on. And it also takes off probably another couple thousandths of material. So that has to be corrected for. You get the old glue out of there, and then you actually have to deepen it again because I took depth away from the groove. Never take depth away from the groove. Sorry. And then we very simply go through it all again. Very simply, with no complications. I've been told that I jinx things a lot. It's true though, I know exactly what I'm doing. Same process. Wire in, super glue down, activator up, and that's the way we inlay a ring with wire. And truth be told, I'm still getting better at this process, so I'm not... I've probably done this whole thing maybe 8 times successfully. And successfully means the wire isn't ripped out or some other way, like not adhering. So it's fun. I enjoy it. A little stressful, but nowhere near as stressful as it was the first time when I tried to lathe down the extra wire. We'll get to that, but I'm pretty enamored with this process, as I already like the polish. I like polished brass and I don't like speaking English. I'm just gonna say it. I like polished brass and polished copper quite a bit. And all I'm doing here is pressing it in there. It's the exact same thing that I was trying to do last time, but this time it worked. And now I drip in a little super thin CA and let that get into the grooves and the gaps between the wire where super glue wasn't getting, to add more strength and more stability and further increase my confidence. No, I know what I'm thinking, and it's not a bit. It's just more hand filing. There was always going to be hand filing. I can't think of a single thing that I want to do that does not involve a hand file of some size, including using my computer. I'm probably filing it down right now. So all I'm doing is flushing the wire up to the wood and being a snarky asshole to myself. Now, hindsight being 2020, the file that I'm using right there isn't pointed the right direction to do filing. It actually needs to be upside down because of how the teeth are. When I say upside down, I mean backwards. That's why it's doing an absolute shit-tastic job of what it should be doing quite easily. It's a very good file, and it's a very sharp file. I don't know how long it takes for me to realize that either. Oh, no, it took me till the, literally 3 days from then. I didn't think about that for 3 days. And then, driving to work, oh god, that's not how you're supposed to do that. So you see me keep switching files because the results aren't going very fast at all. Now that is the right orientation and direction for filing, and it goes so much nicer and so much faster. You can see the results. I can see the results. Everybody's happy. Alright, so the wire for the most part is either close or all the way down. The glue that's still on there, that is, I'm hopefully going to take care of that with sandpaper. But it does take a little bit of getting. Perhaps some aggressive sanding. And I'm already working up the grits. The sandpaper does get hot. It gets hot when it's just normal wood, let alone brass. So you have to be careful not to melt the glue that you just laid in. So brushing it off, but I see there are errors that I don't understand. And I kind of have to start sanding over again. Or at least to some degree. just to try and get whatever the hell that was out of there. I don't know what it is. It might be extra glue, but it's odd, to say the least. See, that wasn't too bad. And it doesn't take all that long in real time either, but that is the ring before micro mesh. That is super cool. That shimmer. Chatoyance, if you will. So, I don't remember the exact grits of micro mesh, but this is a micro mesh pad. And it starts at 1300 grit. And I'm trying to get all the excess super glue down. 1300 grit, something like, it's roughly equivalent to maybe 320 or 400, but it's gentle. And it's on a pad, so it allows for a slight radius. Slightly radiusing the work that you're shaving down. Add a little more super glue, let it fill in the cracks, and once it's set, then it's time to go all the way through. So I'm just going to guess the grit. We started at 13, let's say that was 18, 2000, 40 bajillion, 7. Solve for Y. Z up. Z up, Y up. Yep. 3. And 20,000. So, it may not be super easy to tell, but that is a smooth and shiny ring. And smooth and shiny in our brain says high quality. Which, I mean, it's just normal. But I really, really like the way that this came out. From a distance, it looks like a black ring. Up close, you can see those sort of dark chocolatey hues shimmering from side to side. And now, to finish the sides, they have not been neglected. They're just the last step. And there's a little lip, because I used a lot of super glue. And the process is very similar. We start with 1300, and we start going fast. We move to 1800, 2000, 7, Y up, Z up, Z up, Y up, sorry. 3, solve for X, and 20,000. On both sides. And after I finish inspecting it, I will try to get it the best that I can. I kind of need a better camera to zoom in to see some of this stuff nicely. And a better focus. In general. Can't even get it past my pinky knuckle, which is a good sign. That's roughly the size of some of the rings that I've been making for other people. Just as practice and getting more rings under my belt, so to speak. Now, after the sanding, it did get a little bigger, but it still ended up fitting. As far as I know, it still fits. I really hope that it fits well. There you go. That's where we started. That's where we ended. that's a finished little ring. The transition between the two sides of the brass could be better, but I also don't know exactly how it ended up looking like it looked, and I kind of like the effect that it has regardless. So one thing that I've done as an experiment is inlaying a piece perpendicular to it, not just to hide the seam, but to be an extra decoration. But there's definitely some... I wanted this to be presented nicely as a present for my sister-in-law. So I got to thinking, and I got to making, and what I did was I made a second ring that wasn't an ebony ring out of purple heart. And then I was like, well, I need a nicer way to present that too. So I made a tiny box. And I oiled the tiny box. I didn't show making it because it was... That's for another time. This is a prototype, but I took it very seriously. Some suggestions were add magnets to the lid, and they are 100% correct. Not being able to identify this wood is driving me insane, and people have been saying Babinga, or there was another one, and Luan, and I don't know what the hell Luan is either, but it's pretty, and it oils up super, super bright, or not bright, but like rich. Gotta oil the inside. And all I did was drill that exact hole, make a lid, drill a hole for the brass rod in both spots, and sort of shave and contour it down. It was a relatively quick but effective box. It holds things, it looks kind of pretty, and it has brass in it. So I'm pretty good with that. It can also survive a 3-foot drop. Good job, Adrian. Good job. So, the finished box. And its first test. There's the purple heart guy. It's inlaid with copper, which I like. There's the ring you just watched us make. Ebony and brass. And there you go. Thank you very much for watching. I hope everybody is doing well and has a nice day, or evening, or morning. All of it. Bye.